Anyone want? Closes the window. It's like to ask wide catchment now. Places here. Yeah, no, that's right. So you move it today. Handle. The left. Now acting two key positions. Have the so the first item is terms of reference. The agenda that comes out every time. And there was a little meeting and terms of left high level policy, not low level meeting. hopefully this the future of Waikato Regional Council, large extent. So we are looking to that session afterwards. Well, there's two things. Conditions of living. Sorts of budgets. Agenda. Asks the team work on doing the current is we do something this year. On that deficit map, Roger Spooner of action. Yeah, he said he set up a process where it happened. So as an example, page 55, Austin's it's got a list of accounts here. Where this where the second page. The reserves for that area are in. Austin's one. Position. But Austin's on page 50. In there, how do I quit whether we
just go through, you've got year to date, December. Austin's for
they're quite small and
like that's the quick something we rather than following this round, the actual titles on this.
so yeah, we titles we regularly.
On
So,
these,
yeah, we did. Really, if you look at what eight, at to we have to swallow the mic that far. That's online. Yes, yes. Eight.
thought and a bit.
Gentlemen,
Ask questions. So obviously, budgeted amount.
don't want to get into it. So what you see is you get the operational, the cost of doing the work, and you get the costs managing the work, organisational, and these people blood pressure sample that's off. $60,000. We have been
Chairman, I brought this up before. Self-administered pay and reason. Council fund.
a person with additional reserve. Action. Need
That could be an action. Which is. Yeah. Council reserve. Council don't. It's that was in Where did you read that?
7 point,
What page is that?
that's page 15. This is a test on who's,
I know, I read it before.
you and
Okay.
Craig and Matt.
Yeah, so what, Craig, have you? Yeah.
Chairman, can I offer
I'd like to keep moving.
a scope? When
And it is. Issue then when it ends up there. Very little down. Staff as well. Water available. Hasn't been lost.
second half, the first half, flood protection by Waikato scheme. So yeah, so take the report as read, and I'll just kind of touch on. Yep, the report, flood protection, drainage, operational work program, and yep, I'm just touching on this. Tracking, we're in a reasonable position halfway through the year. Budgets as we're about 150,000 underspent to where we thought we were going to be. Yeah, I guess so. So on page 18, which table that's up on the screen there, that's kind of just given us an overview of where the money sits, and I referenced the 151,000. I've just taken a summary line. Flood protection, Lower Waikato. It's just an overall summary of it, and we spent 5.2 million out of the 5.3. So reasonably happy with the position we're in at the moment. So yeah, that's the operational stuff. If I go on to the capital work program. First of all, was there any questions on the operational stuff?
17 and 18.
Yeah, 17 and 18. Okay, so the capital work program, this is on page 18 as well, 18 and 19. Yeah, but to this one, I've also put an attachment in the back which outlines project by project and there's some commentary and a bit of a traffic light system to see what's in green and what's in red, I guess. So the key things here really are we've got a few key projects underway, and a couple that are in the red status now. I've highlighted on the slides there and on page 18 that got two projects in the red status. One is the vessel construction, which you're well aware of, and the other one is the island block pump station. Now, the island block pump station project's tracking slightly behind, and we've had some extra work to do around the consenting and hydraulic analysis and stuff of that catchment. So, some good news for that project though is we are on. We hope we're on a straight run home now. We're into detailed design for the pump station, and we've been received a consent for the build. So we've got a consent, and we're into detailed design with the designers. So yeah, we're in a good position there. And yeah, we'll look to connect with the landowners in the next few weeks. Yeah, that's probably. There are some other projects here. We've got them in the photos. We've got some stop banks underway. In Tuakau, we've got a couple of good packages of floodgate renewals for the Mangawara happening. So we've put two packages to the market. We've had reasonable good interest in them, and we've awarded one package to a construction firm which will replace 6 to 7 floodgates in the Mangawara, and we're just about to do another package in the Mangawara. So yeah, a bit of progress there. We just go to the next slide. These are just the budgets. So really, you would see at the bottom of page 18 that it looks like we're quite underspent, 10%, I think, of the budget as at the end of December. But the key message there is we've got a lot of commitments in place, 3.5 million committed with the stop banks program in Tuakau. That will raise the commitment. So at the moment we've got 3.5 committed, but there's actually another 3.5 to go on top of that. So yeah, I'm hoping the end of June you'll see some good figures. We've got about 7 to 8 million committed as of now, and work's well underway on those bigger projects. Yeah, so I think the other budget table is just Kanoa there, but just put the Kanoa table in for externally funded projects. I thought you might be interested in just some of the main focuses for the Lower Waikato. So yeah, is there any questions on the capital work program before I go on to the vessel?
Yep. Brendan, if I can, just a question. So,
Thank you, Noel. Hi, Brendan. My question is around Island Block and the water qualifications. I was wondering how the management or ideas for.
Yep, that's part of it's out of scope of the project, water quality itself, but we're well aware of expectations in that catchment. We're working through what the project can and can't do on water quality. It's quite a difficult one. There's a lot of factors to improve water quality. So yeah, at this stage, we're still working through it. We're still going through the detailed design. We're still looking at areas where we can pull in areas to improve water quality, but at the current stage, it's quite difficult to do so. And currently it still sits out of scope. So I guess the scope hasn't changed from previous discussions. The pump station project is a replacement project, but we are looking for enhancements where possible for landowners. So there's still to be worked through. Still got a long couple of months of design, and we'll try and work through that parallel. So yeah.
Thanks. I'll keep
So
in touch.
Brendan, Island Block is going to discharge in wetland.
It's going to discharge into a drain that hugs the edge of the Whangamarino wetland and enters I can't remember the river's name. Is it a stream further up? So Yeah, we've done a whole lot of work on that, Noel. We believe the water goes into the drain, hugs the edge, and then goes into so majority of the flow doesn't enter the wetland, but that's all being worked through.
So, okay.
I think. Good question.
Any further questions? So, Will,
Yes, Brendan. So roughly 10 or 11 million is the Kanoa, which is separate. The benefits of having shares of that.
Yeah, so how the canal funding works is we receive external funding that goes to the capital renewals bucket. So all this work is classed under capital renewals for the scheme. How we treat the canal external extra revenue that comes into the capital renewal bucket, and it's still the same. So essentially, it helps us with bank balance. So it's not allocated to specific areas. We share the load with the capital. It's just
Like this year.
this is already agreed. Our funding. This is just an update. This isn't any.
general funding in, instead, right, for
Yep.
fraud or otherwise, it goes into the kind of projects which budgeted items anyway. That goes into the, and so there's bit of going up, held down. So
Yeah, and that's definitely a good news story.
it's not specific to those projects.
Puts us in a better debt position for the lower way.
Carry on.
Okay, so the next one is the vessel. So, I mean, you're well aware of the vessel going, so I was just going to kind of hit the key parts. The key part is we're looking at at this stage, a proposed completion date of March 2026. That's, next month. So it's done into sea trials and we'll see how they go. That's the plan for now. And then we'll bring it down the coast and up the river. The other key area, I wasn't sure whether, I talked about it much or not, was we've looked at the river levels are going to be low when we bring the boat in, and we've looked at ways to increase the work program for the vessel. So we're underway, we're in progress, I suppose, of getting our resource consent to put a second mooring in the river. This will enable us to secure the vessel down by Tuakau. And twofold, it gives us somewhere to tie the boat up when it comes in the river, and it gives us a place to be home for the drier season. So, it wasn't originally part of the scope, but we've included it, and we're underway with that. So that's positive, yeah.
The issue is the boat's basically ready, apart from some noise issues with the exhaust, which I understand they have been rectified, but the hydraulic pumping is decibels away above what the out of the
That's the gap. There are some noise issues. Also, the sea trials. They've had a few harbour trials and close, but the sea trials haven't happened yet. So 3 weeks of sea trials, which will be more in-depth trials. But the original, at the dock type trials have been the noise with the exhaust was one, and the hydraulic power pack's the other one. So they're working through that. And then we'll be into sea trials of the next couple of weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed, and then see what comes out of that. Yeah.
Just remind everybody it's a fixed price contract, so all this extra order not on.
No, I just I'm interested to hear about the noisy hydraulic. The committee's really noisy hydraulics.
I don't want to go into the detail. I'm just telling you there's noise issues.
Yeah.
And it's what others just all does. And
I'm not complaining about the noise. What I'm saying is that I figured out what the problem is.
Let you know.
They could apply.
Okay, no, thank you. Nadia,
Apartheid, I think that was brought up in the past. Then that was brought up. So have we got a secure management plan for the barge that we're able to view?
teachers,
Barge is hoping to be. That's not far away.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. So because of this coming in place for that, bandwidth, marine environment for Waikato, so but because of that, want to take over the barge in. In terms of the operation, river itself of operation, we'll have to move. But the barge itself and all the work is
Thanks, Greg. Is there a peace management plan that will be out?
I'll take that away as a question.
If there's no further questions, that's all. We'll probably keep going. So land license update, just a quick update, really nothing much here, just that the lease agreements are up for renewal again. Every look at the fee. That should be done soon, and then a report down to the integration committee. So
did that last two? Was that the agreements themselves?
Karakia go 1 year, Lower Waikato follow. So yeah, so I'm picking probably not too much on that. So we could probably carry on to the 3-yearly asset.
Just before you do, Trevor, did you have something on this?
Just on the land license, we've got an issue with council are aware of in our area. Highlighted that was given back to Tainui, cited significance. Now it's been nightmare. Buying that land, no rates being paid, no rent paid, and great deal of difficulty getting the council to area the integrity of the stock bank at risk. So action point, if it's out with staff and operation, action point that
My understanding is that
yes,
there's activity
yes,
and come back to staff. So
I've got an update on that. Obviously, phone calls of you, Trevor, and Harmon, our land license officer. So we have a meeting with Waikato Tainui tomorrow afternoon to address that very issue. We're well aware of it. We've got a meeting tomorrow afternoon to progress. So we've got an MOU with Waikato Tainui about managing that bit of land. And we'll hopefully have and we'll come back to you.
oh, sorry, what?
Excuse me. Just a quick question, just in scale, how many of our schemes post owned by the land?
It varies. There's a good mix in the Lower Waikato. I wouldn't have the number off my head. Karakia Plains, we own a lot of the land. Council does.
There are a lot of them are small.
Yeah, the Waikato, yeah, there's a lot of small parcels, the private assets on private land. And there's a mix of scheme owned land as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we might as well get on to the asset reval. I only put this in as a bit of an update. I thought you might be interested, but every LTP we revalue the assets, and it's really just a bit of information in there from the asset management team. It's not really my area of expertise, but I thought you might be interested in it. That yeah, there's a bit of work happening on the revaluation of assets, and that will feed into depreciation and the likes. And there's a bit of good work happening from looking at the rates of the last couple of years of construction projects and stuff like that. So we're trying to use real facts to get the revaluation process nice and tight, and we're doing it in-house. So yeah, if there's any questions on the asset reval, I'm happy to take them as an action and come back to you. Or yeah,
Some of us had a chat with the briefing on it. And appreciation. It's like Churchill East. But you devalue that a couple of years, then you revalue it. So after 3 years, it's valued at 10 million. Been depreciated, then you revalue it. And over the life of the pump, 80 years, might be worth 50, 70 million valuation time. So you're paying depreciation now on 6 million, but those of you who are in that scheme, time paying depreciation. So this alarm challenged it. The government and it's frustrating. Those who want a copy of it, just carry on before we
Question, how do they value channels?
just ask that question too. They're on our land. Council has to tell us who does the valuation.
Yeah, so we undertake the valuation based up there, kind of help and unit rates. But one thing to reinforce trains those that we trains that appreciate our managed network. Don't have a capital.
Question is really one because it doesn't actually it's ongoing maintenance, but it doesn't actually disappear over time.
So you'll see that there is a value open channels.
There seems to be a fairly small proportion of the total value, in actual fact, in terms of does actually.
I think even you often put in figures, and I think the region 7% region is drains. 325 GDP of
Yeah, that's about right. That's it drains that the beneficial value for the drainage, 7%.
In a sense, being grossly under that valuation system you used.
anyway, just value of drainage There's immense in New Zealand. First. Everything is value. So it's balancing, but the three pillars. I think. Keep going, Brendan.
I think that's now over to Ruben. So next.
Sorry,
Partai,
I
so
think
if I'm not- sorry, Brendan, might be another partai for Greg. Is the line between the drains, over drains not valued, and I'm thinking about channels for that are constructed like to the point be a capital.
I'd have to check that channel itself. That is part of our flood being as opposed to drainage.
I'm not sure, I would imagine it would be, but we've done a lot of work in there for stabilisation. Assets in there that would be. My understanding of this number 34/20 is that drains and channels is 7.3% of the 1.2 billion is drains and channels. That's how that reads. So there is some stuff that is deemed as an asset, and that would sit under the flood protection, not the land use program. So yeah, man, how's that significant? But that's my take.
Yeah, on the valuation status of, are you anticipating any above my head to understand that, but that was a low, and whereas the old general, and that always flow. Valuation is that
I don't know to answer the question. I don't really know to come back to you for an action, but I know in terms of earthquake design, we definitely take that into account on pump station rebuilds. Island block, we took that into account, and yeah. So the questions there: construction, building assets, we definitely take the earthquake status into account, but on revaluation, I have to come back to you. Yeah.
I think that will speak to its useful life. So the useful life of an asset is appreciation. And there would influence the useful life. And obviously, a high earthquake risk would possibly reduce that useful life.
yeah, I just involved with a couple of assets that I'm unsure as to what the change in the government legislation this region is going to mean to their value or the cost of replacement. And I just wondered if that's going to flow, if that has been taken into account yet.
But we can confirm that for you.
Another action.
Excuse me, Greg, did you just say useful life? I thought the revaluation was full replacement. So
So what our valuation process does is it looks at what the value of those assets are, and then considers what the useful life is, so that we can estimate the depreciation required to be collected on that asset. So the two are linked together.
so it's not based on a full 50 years. It's based on what's left on.
Correct. So our valuation drives the depreciation that we collect to fund our anticipated future capital program. And so, say for example, if a pump station has years of useful life remain, then we need to reassess our depreciation to make sure we are collecting as much as we can towards that anticipated replacement.
So there's not an ideal amount you want the useful life to be for all your stations or assets?
Yep, so we will have standard useful lives for all of our assets, but then that gets adjusted based on the condition performance for assets. So say, for example, if we have a pump station that we know is got an expected useful life of 8 years, it's been in place for 40 years, condition is showing us that it may need replacing in 10 years, then we take that into account with our depreciation calculations.
So all are valued at their what you'd consider a useful life for that particular asset. They might be at 10, they might be at 80, but valued out for their full amount.
Value for the full amount,
Yeah.
yeah. And we work out depreciation from the value, unstood value.
Because it's a big chunk of change, because 1.2 billion, that's revalued every 3 years. Let's say it could go to 1.5 billion, and depreciation is a big part of the cost that's allocated to each cost centre, and then the direct ratepayers pay 40% of whatever the total cost. So if we want to keep it to 4%, which is, if it's been capped, it could be a big problem that the revaluation goes high.
There's a diagram that's been around for a few years now, but it showed the rating across the strange assets. Essentially, it goes like this fairly slowly for about 10 or 15 years, and then it goes like this, and then over 30 years, and just will be completely unaffordable. So there's got to be a better way, or government's got to accept they have to change the way in which we're required to do depreciation and the likes. So, yeah, okay. I think we'll move on to land drainage. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess really just to start with the land drainage, we had a bit of talk about the importance. It's also important to understand that the service is provided through a partnership with the landowners. Most of the drain sitters on private property, and we have a responsibility to maintain the primary network on the private land, and it's entirely funded by targeted land drainage rates. There's always been some discussion about how some of that should be centrally funded, and I guess that's work to be done in the future, given the importance of the GDP it produces across the country. So there's about 1,500 individual drains, about 2,100 kilometres in length, and there's about 84 separate drainage areas within those 92 separate funding. So it's a big network across the area. Yeah, next slide, thank you. So, and across there, the budget's about 3.8 million. We're about 1.5 through. So we're sitting at about a 40% spend for the first 6 months. And that varies a little bit across the area. That's tracking as it would normally track for this time of the year, and this expenditure from now on through to June, really, that picks up some of the pre-winter work. Yes, so next slide, thanks. And that's just showing another pictorial, I guess, or graph of where the expenditure is sitting. So we're anticipating to spend majority of the budget as we would normally do around delivering the service. And so again, we're sitting at about 40% across the region. Whatever isn't spent, there's returned to the reserves for each of the subdivisions as a targeted rate. So it doesn't go back into the general coffers. Next slide, thanks. Yes, overall, we've delivered, the program's been delivered well by the teams to meet the level of service for the first 2 quarters. And we do that as tracking as a metric as well, the CE about the delivery of the service. It's sitting at about 52% of its spend. They've done 60 kilometres of spraying and 80 kilometres machine cleaning up in that area. So quite active, as you know. They have their own machine in that area that does a figure 8 clean, and that represents half the clean for the year in terms of that. It's 37. They sprayed about 25 k's and 22 kilometres of machine clean. And that machine clean can go up and down depending if there's any major cleans that are noted as required by landowners as well. So landowners and our relationship is important to us because they're our eyes and ears out there as well as to what needs to be happening on the ground at different times of the year. Waikato Central, we're sitting at 33. We sprayed about 70 and 14 k's in terms of that. So that reflects a windy end, a wet and windy end to the summer, really, and being able to get in and spray in different areas. So you do have a bit of an up and down in the spray season across that. And there's been a lot of tree pruning and floodgate repairs across that area through the Mongawara and that. But yeah, teams have been delivering well on that.
Do you capture what the self-administered
Oh, you
work
cheat.
they do?
That's the exact question I was going to.
So the likes of Trevor's, Austin's and Martini, do you capture theirs?
When we get reports in on it, we can include it in this. So maybe that's an action we take, that we have a report on the self-administration
Or
areas
they
as
may
well.
send you a work program, but do you actually audit or ask them to report back on what they achieved against what they intended?
Yeah, so as part of the funding arrangement this year, we did send out the reminder letter about responsibilities and that. Transfers of funds have happened, and then I guess we would be waiting for reporting on what work was done and what contractors we use and spray diaries. So,
Trevor, have I opened a door for you on something?
Look at that smile.
so I can follow up that with another.
I just think if we're reporting on this, we should try and capture everything. On that of checking. People are paying rents. Putting on that this is open to people. Yeah, Trevor.
Yeah, what I've suggested to the council, but is that we are meant to have an AGM once a year on self-managed schemes, and the beauty of our area is we can probably combine all schemes into one, because dealing with similar people, and so the council, I'm not sure where we're up to with that, Reverend, but I asked the council, it'd be nice when we do that for a council member to attend. But it looks like it'll come with a charge.
Staff member. Yeah, when you say
And so
council member, we come free, but they don't.
Well, yeah, but what we're saying is that it is a partnership. And so I would have thought that the staff member or members whoever charged, no, I don't think there should be a fee, because an hourly rate to attend an AGM, pretty rare, and I think we all pay into overhead of regional council, so I think attending those sort of meetings should be not a direct charge to the targeted ratepayer, but part of council contribution to the management of the chiefs.
Hear what you're saying.
You
We would-
attending here.
We would have to, hang on, guys, hang on.
All right, sorry.
I'm
not sure where that ended up.
I know your point is well made. However, you recall in pre-2019, you might remember that we had screeds of staff all along the walls, and they'd come in and they'd make presentations. And every one of those who sat around or came in and presented was charged to the committees for the likes of that man there and this one and this one and that one. And if the chief executive comes in, which he had hoped to, but may not, they all get their time clipped onto the targeted rates of this group. So, those two at the end, I forgot you.
Where does your general rate? What do you think
Let's not go into that. I haven't got general rate on my mind at the moment, but targeted rates is about this. The general rate covers the river schemes and the likes, as well as the targeted rates that we pay. It's a mixture, project watershed funding and all that, which, yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah, but they get a general management.
I'll throw it to Greg, and then I'll come down. Is that, we'll come to Greg.
So the source of funding for our time depends on the activity that we're doing. So yeah, with drainage, because it is 100% funded through the targeted rate, that's where if someone spends an hour of time for the land for a specific subdivision, then that's where the time gets charged to. If it's to do with flood protection, then it becomes a split between targeted rates and general rates, depending on funding policy under Project Watershed. And so that's how our system works, is wherever the hour gets charged in terms of activity, that activity has a funding split, and that feeds through into how the rates are collected.
So the cost of this meeting depends on how long you want to talk. That's what he's saying.
Through the chair,
Yeah,
I'm happy to take an action to remind the self-administration groups to provide us their work programs. And that, so I'll take that on as an action. In terms of the budget allowances, each of the self-administration groups have a certain amount of management time allocated to them as part of the budgeting process. So there is an anticipation that work that is done within the self-administrated area will still have some management time on it. If it's worked on, then it's charged there. If it's not, so yeah. So that's where it sits in that. Otherwise, the rest of the targeted rate payers within the drainage areas pay for that service as a shared cost.
okay, Craig. Craig. Or is that you?
That's me, yeah.
Oh, it's you, sorry.
Yep, that's right, my thing's gone. Yeah, so just to do with the spraying, so the effectiveness of it, what are you spraying for and what's your limits? Is it from the water to the fence line? Or is it all weeds or yeah, so what are you actually spraying it to whether know if it's effective or not? You check it.
Yeah, so our guys that are going through, and as soon as they assess the drainage network, they would be spraying to the water line. They don't spray up the banks to the fence. And that tends to cause some erosion issues if you get in here, like slumping around that. And yeah, so.
So as far as pests / weeds, what you're saying, they're not in the spray program? Because you're just talking about Roundup, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yep.
So the weeds, it's just whatever, no issues. Yeah. All whether it's ragwort, blackberry, all that carry on, that's the farmer's issue, or who's responsible for that?
Yeah, so that is the farmer issue sitting on that land. Some of our guys coming through when they're spraying, if they can do something, they will, generally, if it's causing an issue. But if it's not impeding the flow in the drain and the actual drainage of that, then they wouldn't. But we certainly don't encourage spraying from fence line to fence line. I think at the last committee meeting, we had some photographs of that and the issues it causes with slumping.
So I'm talking more targeted spraying rather than Roundup, yeah. Okay.
Thank you. See, you should have a name now.
So
all right.
next slide. Again, these are graphs of the similar information, so we can probably skip through them. That's just showing the spend across the different subdivisions. And then we're into some photos about some of the work presented. So this was an area in, I think, up in Rotorua, as part of the Ohodi Basin area, which was holding a lot of water. And the guys had been through and done a clean, and it did release a lot of water out of the system. So I think that was Friar's Drain.
Ohodi, that's Rotorua, not Rotorua.
Oh, Rotorua.
Could I just ask a question on that? You know, if I saw that on my place, I'd be going putting tax, because is that the final, not final solution, that's a horrible phrase, the final state, because to me, heavy rain would wash all that back into the drain.
Yeah, I think that's in progress still. So, you know, I think quite often what does happen is when you do have a bit of a berm build up over time, so quite often the landowners will come along and respread to stop that berm being formed.
Yeah, and if they, yeah, Trevor.
So can you just go back to the last photo for a second? So how long had yeah, that looks like quite a major clean. So how many years prior had that been maintained? Is that an existing drainage?
So that hasn't been cleaned for a while, I must admit. And then and then there was a discussion with landowners who decided they did want some cleaning in there. So that would be a major clean and then be sprayed, and that may be not clean for another 5 years. Yes.
I just thought it should have been maintained a little better than that.
Yes.
Yeah, so Is this in conjunction with all those roadworks that the district council did? Cut all the roads for about a month and people could hardly.
I'm not sure, Noel, I'd have to check.
Because that was all in that Ohohe Basin.
Yeah, so I'd have to check. But there are drains within the network that haven't been cleaned for a while, and then your eyes and ears with the landowners out there. If it starts causing an issue, then they come and talk to us. And then
Interesting
we
enough,
do.
I used to represent that area with the central Waikato. And no one is, apart from that lovely lady that got your name eventually. Tried to hold it back for you. But yeah. Probably.
Yeah, and that's an issue. That's an issue to work.
It's just weird how that drain there is like 2 meters off the fence line on the other side, so. Doesn't actually look like even with the ball ground, look like out of the trees. It looks like we've got a number of people who want to say so. We've got a speaking order, please, of Gary Maguire, Gary Raymer online, councillor, and Craig. So if we can go with Gary.
Just a point to ask of Miles, you brought up the other day about trees in the Mangatawhiri stream not being cleaned, not being removed and then working around it. So maybe just I'm just sparing the thought to Miles.
Just looking at that, that's what we're seeing all the time. Those that are doing don't actually know what something. And yeah, trees stopping excess.
Miles, I'm actually a little concerned, and I'll put my grumpy pants on. If it's happening all the time, are the people, the landowners, talking to the council staff, not the contractor, because the contractor does what they're instructed to do. So are you talking to the guys, the staff? No, or the people you're talking to?
It's been taken out of our hands, basically. Contractor comes through and does. One example was the other day, the drain was in main drain. Cliff started cleaning halfway down it. Which, I had to get on and sort out what sorted. Whether it's a lack of knowledge or people that are criminalising aren't allowed to get it.
Well, can we just, to me, it's a concern that, yeah, I hate these generalisations and waiting to a day like today to bring these up. These are things that the landowners on site need to get onto the council staff, like you've obviously done, and sort it out on the day. Don't wait months, weeks, years to come. I've actually been a bit grumpy and coming back at you, but help yourself by doing it on the day. You know, I'm sorry. Steve first.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Look, I just want to reinforce that if our contractors are not performing, we need to know about it early. And that's where I'm going to talk a bit later on about the service requests and how you make contact with us. But if it's under urgency, then we will be talking with our contractors to get them back into line. So don't just accept that we're not delivering a good service. Tell us about it. And that's the role of the officers, to be in touch with those contractors straight away. Because we don't want to hear that. And I'm sure our contractors, if they want to carry on with us, will want to know what their performance is. Yeah, but I'm going to talk about service requests.
But it comes down to the scope of what their contractor was contracted to do. And it comes back to those initial instructions. What were the instructions given? And if they're not compliant with that, then it's over to staff, not the landowner to instruct them. You are not, there to tell contractors what to do. Let me make that clear. It's the staff that are employing them and contracting them. They're responsible. The staff can take action. You and I can't. Make your feelings known.
But what you've had is a lot of different farms have changed hands. And in a lot of cases, it's just guys taking the drip digger and starting.
Yeah, but that's the instruction that's given by council staff. It's not the farmer. It's, if it's a board drain, it's the staff member who instructs.
I know. As where the board drain starts, the other part of that, that's not cleaned at the same.
If it's a landowner, that's a landowner's issue and the landowner's cost. The board drain, if it's not, the board drain is not being cleaned in its entirety, ask the staff, why not? It's, if you've got a good relationship with the contractor and he says, he or she, whoever's driving the digger, says, or my instructions are from 100 metres from that point, start. And you say, why? Because that's what I've been told. Talk to the staff. It's not have a go at the contractor, please. So can we go back to the speaking order? Gary Raymer online.
Can you hear me, Noel?
I can hear you.
Yep, okay. First of all, Noel, thank you for letting me speak because I'm not actually a member of the committee, but I am regional councillor and an observer. The observation, listening to this conversation now really highlights some of the massive inefficiencies. There was a question just a few minutes ago about spraying, and the council didn't selectively spray and then the farmer have to follow up. You know, the inefficiency of that is just massive, and why can't that be done collectively? And then they also spoke of not going from bank to bank, but when you see mechanical cleaning and what you've just seen in your photos there, it's bank to bank cleaning. So you'd start saying, what's the difference? And if it creates efficient spray use, do it all in one pass, and you're saving farmer time and saving cost. It's the same with that mechanical cleaning. You know, if that was the responsibility of the farmer, as you've already indicated, Noel, you'd be splitting tax because all those drain cleanings just create a bank and a weir, and the water can't get away, and some of it will seep in the drain. So, you know, once again, the comment was made by somebody in the room that some farmers go back and clean those drainings or drag that in the paddock later on. You know, all of these things, what they are highlighting to me is just huge inefficient use of resources, and sometimes, you know, I can see why we have cost escalation, and I'm part of finance committee and sort of thing, and the conversation broke up earlier on. I couldn't hear it all around all the depreciation in there, but I think you guys need to get on top of the inefficiencies that I'm observing in this whole conversation of double handling, contractor, farmer, and just that linking, Noel. So yeah, it's just an observation not having from the outside in, but it just seems hugely inefficient.
And look, Gary, I appreciate you taking the time to come online and listen, and your thoughts are well noted, because when these matters come back to ICM and wider council, you'll have a greater appreciation of what some of the issues are. So thank you for coming online. So going back to the, we've got Craig and then Kerry McGuire, no, you, then Will, then Robbie, and then Barry McGuire. I don't, yeah. So we've got that. Craig, sorry, Gary, hang on, Craig. Yeah.
Just again, a big stock bank being made by the drain cleanings all spread in the line, which is bad for drainage. Should be nice and tidy in heaps. There doesn't seem to be any gaps to let any water through. Or,
yeah.
Oh, it's a poor job by the driver of the digger, quite frankly. Very poor job. And yes, where's the fence? Because it's dug so far away from the fence on the right, on the right-hand photo from that you couldn't spray from that side without physically getting over a fence, doing something and walking along in the swamp. And there's no fence on that. It's like just it just looks like a rough farmer drain you found somewhere up the back of nowhere, quite frankly. Is that really a council drain?
Yeah, so I think the point's well made. So if anyone's got the same issue, can we just, I think we've heard enough about the disappointment in the photo, the good thing that's been addressed, the issue about the cleaning up. Hopefully it did get made into heaps, and that the runoff, you know, any potential runoff back into the drain, sediment, whatever. Let's hope that we don't see photos like this again. So to Will. Will, you're fine.
Sorry, no, yes. So my understanding with the mechanical cleaning, clearly it does a better job when the drain's completely blocked. Spraying it's a waste of time, and it's the water to the pump stations. I think probably a problem is that the farmers want it done more regularly. Well, we certainly do, but I guess there's a level of service. There might be once every 10 years for a section, and they might only be coming, like to Miles's place, and they're only doing a section where he wants a thorough job, would be doing the lot, but they've only got funding for
And,
one
and,
tenth.
and look, that discussion took place, I think it was out of a result of Matthew's questions. Came to me and Pastor Greg, and it was identified that requests for extra work to be done, but the reserve didn't have the money in it to do it. So I think there needs to be a wider discussion, possibly coming up to the LTP rather than the annual plan, because we can't do it really until the LTP if we're still here. But what is the level of the service? You know, everything's going up, but we need to keep productivity going. I speak as a farmer here, productivity going. And so does the level of service need to be increased? And therefore more costs and more rates. And if you want to do that, if the government puts in the rates capping, you'll have to deal with the existing work program as well as the extra level of service. But, and I don't know how the government will deal with if the landowner wants a higher level of service and therefore a higher rates. And that's the things to be explored. But, it's something that we are well aware of, and perhaps it should be just noted that it be taken through to the LTP. It can be an action, please. If someone's capturing those, or do you capture them? Okay, and then we have Robbie.
Thank you, Noel. I'll just go back to what Miles brought right up from the start. Is this, I don't know if it's perception, but I've definitely seen it in some of the drainage districts over in the Thames Valley, where, and this is as Noel just stated, work program that the staff have asked to be done. But in that network, they've decided to clean a kilometre or 200 metres, and there can be, especially in Thames Valley, there can be various other board drains running off one drain, but they'll just clean it to one point. And the rest of the network's still full of weeds. All it does is that weed then comes down, and there's always that discussion of what is the right service once they're there, applying that machine to clean out the network, not just a fix up gap thing. And I think it's not the right time right now, but that's definitely a level of service that the landowners are wanting from our drainage networks. I think that's the sort of where Miles is getting to, is they want input that when you go in to clean this drain, that you're not going to just clean it there. It's actually a network clean, I think, is what he's trying to get to. And the understanding of how landowners can make a change to getting a network clean, not just a spoke spot, I think is the issue. Does that make sense?
And that's when we need to look at levels of service, and that's the long-term plan stuff. So, we're starting long-term plan discussions or work by staff to build towards that next year. So, it's certainly another point to be action. Yep. I want to keep this moving. So we've got, I want to go to someone who hasn't spoken. So that's Chris.
Yeah, just on the same point, not all drains need to be dug regularly. And so I think the point is you've got to identify which ones need to be regularly cleaned, because that's what's going to slumping, so it's going to get again. Whereas we're getting a drains around my area that are sprayed regularly, doing a good job. I don't want them cleaned regularly because then there's an associated problem and the cost. So when you're doing the survey, not every drain needs to be in a program of 10 years. Which are the drains that are likely to be done every 2-3 years, and which are the drains that can just whatever. So the ones I'm seeing around me are no good as gold.
I want to move this along, guys, so that we can get to our discussion, which I think, hopefully you've realised the importance of. So, Gary.
Point of clarification from Miles. When you had that drain where you had to, where they only
guys, we're getting into operational and detailed stuff. I want to talk about
this is
the
a
governance.
point.
No. If this is operational, I want to move on.
It's a question about the resource consenting now.
Now, please. If it's operational, I don't want to waste the time of this meeting. Is it something we can take offline? No, I don't want this discussion going. We've got one photo in front of us and we've already spent nearly 20 minutes on it. So point was made, if there's more, we can take it offline. So Trevor, no, you're fine?
Same old boring stuff. It's the
Exactly.
and it's as simple as that. If you're thinking, there has to be and the landowners well before the job is executed, so that everybody's happy.
Thank you, Trevor.
We have the same discussion every year, and it's a failure. So make it an action point. See that this happens because there's stuff happening in areas where the landowners are totally unaware, and you end up with this mess.
Yeah.
So it's communication. Simple as that. That's the end of the story. Once everybody's on the same page, you never have a problem.
I think you've summed it up well, Trevor. Thank you. So we'll move on. Ruben, is there anything further? We've got a new photo. Thank God.
Yeah, next photo, thanks.
Who was that?
Oh, this is just some photos of some small floodgate works. The one on the right is just an example of 3 different floodgates. It looks, we're kind of getting our head around what's the best flap to put on pumps, and we trialled these plastic ones. McEwan's have brought a plastic one out and got a bay cast in the middle. So we really need to land on a good flap. It's just an example of what we're doing at Hunting Golf Course. So yeah, nothing really too much there. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, does one work better than the other? Is there a difference or there's no difference?
Seems to be no difference at the moment. The big advantage of the plastic ones is there's nothing to maintain on them. One in the middle has a lot of pivoting points, swing arms and stuff on it. So what we're finding with the plastic ones is they don't sway as much when the pump's pumping, and there's stainless rods for them and less maintenance. And one on your right was the one we've always really used, and we've kind of compared the one on the right with the one in the middle. McEwan's have just made us a flap who make the pumps. They've just made us a plastic flap to trial. So
Sounding like the cheaper one's the best one.
they're similar price. They're all similar pricing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next.
Next slide. Yep. This is just a photo of just started some stop bank works in Tuakau down by, if you know where EnviroFood is in Tuakau. This is the stop bank on the west side. So
Road building.
it's it's just really started, eh? And then there's another stop bank package going at Tikahonga, which will start soon. So yeah, 2 different contractors, Kanoa funded work underway. Yeah. Photo. This is a photo of Mangatawhiri Compartment 3, and that's just showing some progress on site. Really, that the upstream structures going in. Cranes there all week, I believe, putting in units. So yeah, good progress on site.
This is quite recent, these photos.
Yeah, got sent them yesterday. Yeah. And there's more units going in during the week. So yeah, good progress on site. Next photo, yeah. I think it might be. Yeah, that's it. Over to Steve to talk about the contacting council.
Steve.
Thanks, Noel. This slide is, and it's in your agenda, it's just a reminder about the customer service request module that council's got and the importance of actually landowners and yourself as representatives logging issues at your strike. I know it's probably asking that you might find a bit lengthy, but once you get into doing it, it's not so bad. But there's 3 ways of getting these requests into us: online, via the 0800, or today, like if you're in the office and you've got some concern, pay out, call in to the girls at the front desk and they will log it for you. There's a lot of advantages for us as staff. We actually get contact details of the person that knows what the issue is, and we as staff can make direct contact. There may be some photographs and some supporting information. It helps me to, and managers in front of you to actually manage the levels of service and identify where things are slipping, staff issues or contractor issues. But without these service requests being logged, we've got no way of tracking the issues. So we ask that reinforce this to people that you're dealing with and for yourself. About it, Noel? 3 main methods.
Does anyone really have any thoughts on why it shouldn't work? Can I encourage you to please log things as they come up? And they can be dealt with, just like Matthew had enough that he put it in writing. It was quite detailed, easily understood. I flicked it to Greg, and within a couple of days, Greg was onto it, and within about 5 days had all the answers to the different questions, and rang Matthew directly, discussed it, and it was all dealt with. We don't need to come to a meeting like this to raise it. So please, I implore you to actually do it. And then we can review how you felt about it, perhaps at the next meeting.
I'm just wondering, like, with the changing of landowners and things, and there's actually a fair bit going on at the moment just in our area, so I was assuming it's across the district. What is the protocols when there's a new farm owner? Because I know when I bought my farm, I just had someone just turn up, come in to look at your, we're regional council, we're the good guys, we come and look at your drains. And that has never changed. Never had an induction from council to say, this is what we do, this is our work program, this is what happens. I get a phone call, oh, we're here, we're on our way, we're coming onto your farm. Absolute no preparation, it's a different set of rules. We've got a right to be there, we're coming. So it's sort of, being a dairy farmer, you get a phone call from a regional council, what's going on? And so it's, that's how it is. That's the case.
Did you see the drone come over the day before?
Yeah, pretty much. So, so what I'm saying is where's the protocol? Is there a standard? Is there something? Because we're going to get a new farm, and a lot of people don't even know they've got bore drains on their property.
Well, and that's, I'm going to pass this to
Yeah.
Steve.
Anyway,
But one of the issues, but when you buy the farm, you normally do due diligence and find out what the rates are, and the rates tell you what is charged. So it's a simplistic response, Chris. But the reality is, it's a two-way thing. You need to know what what you're up against when you go in, and I might mean that the regional council is something to go up against. But Steve, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Noel. Chris, it's a good point. I'll just raise with our rating staff and talk back with Ruben, but I'm just wondering if once we get notified of a land ownership change, which we do, I'm just wondering if there can be a letter sent out saying you've actually got drains on your property. These are your key contacts. This is the procedure you notify issues. I don't know whether that's as easy as what I just said, but I'll talk afterwards if we get that. Is that the sort of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, well, like I know where the drains are because we bought neighbours, quite a neighbours amalgamation, but otherwise I probably wouldn't have. And it's all very well saying.
If a farmer coming from Taranaki into the area, knew nothing about it, knew there was a drain there, but didn't know who was responsible.
Well, you don't know where the boundaries are because I've got drains that start and stop on my property, and then I've got drains that go through the property.
Yeah.
And so they've got different, and the different sizes, different things, and then we bought a property, and because we drained in was no longer a board drain.
That's right.
So there's all sorts of things that happen. So that's how you know.
Yeah. It's a good point to have raised. Did
So
you want to speak on
just to add to that, Mr. Chair, annually we send out a land drainage pamphlet that outlines what the expectations are around land drainage and the fact of who the key contacts are in. And that goes out to everybody that is on our rating database that's paying for that. So that's one way we do make an honest attempt to contact everybody about what we're going. changes in land ownership between that should be picked up on the rating base that we use. And then my expectation is that our supervisors who are designing the plans will be making contact with landowners before going on to properties.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, look, it comes down to communication. It's so boring, but we have supervisors, we have deputy supervisors, we have Youths for Africa going around all these schemes, and those people that are going around regularly know if there's change of ownership of land simply because they see it. And I think pamphlets are good, online stuff's good, but you have people on the ground now. You have people on the ground, like the deputy, the people that instruct them to instruct the owners. It's simple. Okay? We don't want online bits of paper. It's talk to the bloke to say, that's a board drain. This is what happens. It takes 10 minutes and it creates a relationship, which a piece of paper won't. And the guy gets off from a flying start, the new owner. We had an island block this year. What a disaster. But it's just communication with your existing staff.
Okay.
Look, we all get on. We have to get on because everybody requires all parties to work well. But just don't, it's like if you got a problem with one staff member and you change the whole rules around because you're too scared to go in and give them a kick in the ass,
Yeah, let's make this. This is a council meeting. It's not down at the cow shed. So, okay. So, I think the points are well made. Anything further?
I think also there's with the committees that are out there and changes in land ownership and the importance of land drainage, it's an opportunity for the committee to take part in those discussions and promote what's critically important to the region and the nation. And that's why at the start we say that land drainage is a key partnership between the council and landowners. So that there is the ability for landowners, if you know your neighbour's change and you know there's a drain there, you're able to have the discussion. If you know he hasn't got it fenced and we don't have a cord, there's an opportunity for the landowner next door as part of the scheme to say, hey, you should be fencing your drains.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a lot of ownership that can be taken to make it effective or more effective.
Bobby,
Thanks.
final word on this.
No, I think just taking action on it. We'll go and discuss it later, because I know you're saying that you want staff to go and connect with it. There's a cost to that. I think we'll go away and we'll think about how to, some good oversight of how to do that, if that should be a membership of the committees or, like we bring back a subcommittee that I'm not sure, but let us just take it away as an action to think about it.
Okay. Anything further? No. That's the end of the business. Oh, there is one more.
I think there might be one more slide, is there, Jordan? Just the last point, I think. Is there one more slide after that? Yeah, just feedback. Steve, you were going to.
Thank you. Just through Noel. It's just a small snippet to actually ask the subcommittee that the style of reports that we've been providing for you in the past, does it meet the mark? Is there things you want to have changed? Are you happy with what you're getting? Are there other snippets of information you'd want or more in-depth information? So now's the chance to drive change if you want it.
Going to cover some of that in that work, focusing. So just Chris.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I suppose in some areas, like I was looking at, like I'm on here representing my area, but if I brought it up in this meeting, well, that's isolated, so we don't want to talk about it. So to get, like I know what's happening in my immediate vicinity, but to be representative of my area, it would be good to actually say, hey, this is going on in your area, or this is where the money's being spent. So that would be, is that sort of what you're applying to? Otherwise, I want to ask these questions. It's like, I just know that none of these other guys are interested. So how do I get that needs to be offline and talk to you, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, if I could have a conversation, take it offline.
Yeah, but it's also part of the discussion we want, what do you want this committee to be? And that's the next discussion after we do the self-administration and public excluded. So I think rather than do it now and do it twice, let's, because the staff are staying with us in that meeting. Trevor, can
Yeah, just for Steve, are you referring to what we talked about, the printout of each scheme? Like we talked about having the full financials on one page and the reserves and all that. So we've already discussed some of that. Have you taken note of
Yeah,
that?
certainly I've taken note of that. Probably one thing that I'd like to suggest to you is, and it's come up with what I spoke about service requests, we can actually report back at each meeting how many service requests we've received for this area. Those that have been achieved on time, those that are still not solved. Is that something that you'd like? I don't want to get down to individual lines, but if we've received 200 service requests, how much have been solved in the timeframes? How much have been moved forward?
Yeah, it's probably good information to know, but, so let's carry that forward into the later discussion. Right, I'd like to move us out of public, into public excluded. So, we've got to do the work program. So, someone move the work program report be received. Thank you. It was Gary and Chris. All in favour? Against? Carried. All right, I'll move that we move into public excluded, seconded by Robbie, and we'll wait for the OT to be put up. So, yeah, no, yours.